This is a channeled, timeless collective reading for you when you see it. I have channel messages that came through ahead of time from my spirit guides, the angels, and true highest and most divinite source, and they will be bringing through any additional information and channel messages that are for your highest good as I read through these messages for you. So before I sat down, they were also showing me a shellfish here, and they're kind of talking about how there is they're showing me a pearl inside of an oyster or a shellfish. And it's interesting because it's like you're being turned into the pearl, like you're in that process. Some of you have already been in that process and you don't realize you're the pearl and you're about to be popped out into the world for all to see, which is actually really cool. So, could be on social media or something like that, or just people start noticing you more in your personal world or in some way. For others of you, I feel like I'm just getting this message. You're being formed into who you're meant to be, into shining more, into the next level of you or to the next steps of you. So time to step into that more, but I feel like that's naturally underway, if that makes sense. So you're about to be turned into the pearl you're meant to be, if that makes sense to you in any way, shape, or form. So the next thing they are having me get to, the first thing that came through ahead of time, they showed me the words higher calling. They said everyone is being called to something higher, so at least you in this crowd. And there's if you can hear the train horn outside, that's confirmation there, synchronistically. Don't give up on yourself or beat up on yourself right now. Higher things are coming in for you. That's part of that pearl message as well, is what I'm getting. So for some of you, you might feel like you need to beat up on yourself more to get yourself to work harder or work more. But that's the exact, beating up on yourself is the exact opposite of what you need to be doing. You need to be gentle on yourself and give yourself space, and you'll naturally start working more, for those of you who needed that message. For others of you here, I feel like you're actually about to give up on something and you shouldn't. You shouldn't give up on it. It's just give it one more chance. Or I'm not necessarily talking about an ex, but, but a project or a job or a career or a YouTube channel or something that's important to you. For some of you, it is a relationship, but you're already in the relationship is what I'm getting as well. For those of you who are, are in that. That's only if that feels right to you. Of course, they're telling me not to even say this, but if there's actual abuse, of course, don't stay in that relationship. But they wouldn't be telling you to stay in a relationship if there was actual abuse, unless there was some really freaking good reason for you to stay in that relationship. I don't know what that would be, but whatever. So next message here, let's see here. With the higher things coming in for you, I feel like what I'm getting with that is you're being shaped into someone who can have higher things and who will have higher things. So higher reality, higher abundance, better people around you, etc. But it's you have to be turned into the person that can have that if you're not already there. Again, some of you listening to this, already the pearl, about to be popped out of the oyster. I'm going to say this very bluntly because it's the way I'm hearing it. It's Source can send you the most amazing, beautiful, hot, attractive, deep, complex, connected, amazing relationship, person ever for a romantic relationship. But if you suck, they're not going to stay. It's a very blunt way I could say it. And, to put it more kindly and gently, which is how I typically go about doing it, if you have certain unhealthy patterns you need to work on, or maybe you tend to be controlling in a relationship, and they wouldn't stand for that because they'd intuitively get no, this person's controlling, I'm going to bounce. So keep that in mind. Sometimes we have to become the person who can have the things we'd like to have the things we'd like to have, obviously. So next message here, and you are being up-leveled to that, which is good. We're skipping messages a little bit because this has been showing up a lot for these YouTube readings for some reason, and they've started to show up even in some of the membership readings I've been doing. I have a monthly membership if you're interested, that's on my website, but I don't want to get too far into that. I'd like to focus on the reading. But they showed a fighter jet, and this one they showed an F-22 specifically, if that matters to you. The message is they gave me the word thrival, and they said it's possible to thrive in these times. You're going to be shown the way out of any harrowing situations and into thriving. So some of you is what I'm hearing. I don't think it's all of you, but some of you are going through things that just are a little bit sticky, or maybe it's like a pickle or like a harrowing situation you're either trying to get out of or move through. I do get you're going to be okay. I feel like you wouldn't be here watching this if you weren't going to be, is for some reason something I'm feeling called to say, or I'm hearing to say. And for some reason, also the other thing I'm hearing and the way I'm hearing it is like the thing you don't see coming is that it's possible to thrive and do really well right now. And if not right now, then in the future, near future even, or maybe it'll take some steps and some progress and some process, but it can happen. And again, you're going to be shown the way to this, even if you're in a sticky situation right now. And you'd be surprised at some of the ways Source can work and how quickly certain things can change when it's time, when certain cycles are up or shifts have happened, or, whatever happens. You'll be surprised at how quickly things can really shift, depending on what your circumstances are. And, sometimes I was about to go into a whole tirade about different things about that, but I don't think I need to. Just know that things are going to shift and you'll be thriving if you take the steps you need to, that you are shown to take, going forward. And you will be shown something that will help you thrive is something I'm getting. And if you're someone who has a lot, I don't know why I need to say this, but if you're someone who has a lot of self-healing to do, that might be something you need to do in order to thrive. So don't think you're getting out of that, if whoever needed to hear that. So next, another message that came through ahead of time, they showed me a boat, specifically like a tugboat. They said you are going to be called to push forward with something. I feel like we already kind of talked about this, like a project, a move that you need to make, a business idea, etc. Like now is going to be the time to start pushing things forward in some area, and you will feel that call. I want to balance one of the messages that came through that we already kind of got to as well, because they're kind of balancing it out here, or adding something to it, or maybe it's separate for some of you, but you don't always have to be like perfectly 100% fully healed to like move forward with a project or initiate a business or something like that. Like that would be kind of a fallacy as well. But you can like heal as you go, or as you initiate projects and as you work on things, you can do both. And maybe sometimes, I was about to say sometimes the process can intertwine a little bit, but that's not really what they wanted me to say. So maybe that's not exactly what will be happening for you with this, but don't hold back on moving forward on something you feel called to move forward on something just because you have potentially an unrelated excuse is something I'm getting as well with that and on that topic. I feel like this is part of your destiny as well, like whatever it is you're being called to move forward on, or if it's not part of your destiny, it'll move you towards it or start to create that, which will be cool. And some of you are, of course, already on the road to your destiny or to bigger things. Maybe not all of you. You're going to kind of resonate with different parts of the path there, but whatever this is, you're going to start opening up more of your destiny through that is what I'm hearing. So next, there's this message that like sometimes we go through a period of disconcertingness or wonder if things will work out, or we're in a period where we're wondering if things will work out, And they said, things are going to be okay. Don't judge yourself during this period, regardless of your past or present. Things are going to turn out well. So we kind of have another confirmation that like things are going to be okay. Like things will turn out well for you. And the other thing I'm hearing is like, you don't necessarily need to like super worry about some of these messages that came through if you're like, oh, I'm not doing that thing. Like, I don't know, self-healing or something like that. Like you probably will is what I'd say, or you'll feel called to in the right way. I feel like I'm not knocking the way I'm phrasing that out of the park here. So I'm going to sit with this and see how they'd like to really summarize it for you guys before I keep blabbering on about it here. What I'm just hearing is like any of the things that you need to do that you're not doing, you're going to end up doing. So don't worry too much. And of course, like if anything weird is going on right now, like you're going to be okay is what I'd say. So I don't know. That's cool. Next, they showed me the phrase is light road, but it was like a road of light. And it was like in a spiral. It was very interesting. But the message is that like realities are shifting very quickly for a lot of people here. So who are watching this, whenever you're watching it. So a lot of darkness on a road might be like replaced with light in some avenue or in big ways. And then, again, part of the message that was like came through earlier is like we're being called to walk higher roads, or we have like some type of higher calling coming in. So that could be part of this road of light message. There's just going to be more light in your world. It's the direction things are headed, contrary to certain beliefs that might be out there in the world or on the news. Some people might be purporting that idea just so the light doesn't, shine through and come in more, but it's going to anyways. So nothing they can do. But this is your sign that the road is actually going to be lighter, is what I'm hearing to say as well, and like upshifted. And you can be in a higher reality pretty easily. Sometimes it just takes like a boop, like a little bit of an awakening is what they showed me. Like they just showed someone like an angel booping you on their nose or something. Or it just takes like the right idea to come in, or some things to shift collectively, and then we're there, there for you, whatever this road of light is, this higher reality is. So I feel like this is going to be coming in pretty quickly. It might take time to like fully play out, but it's happening, which is good. So your reality is going to be shifting for the better. Next, they showed me ice cream, and the message was, they gave the phrase an increase of sweetness, but this is a little bit different than, how this might normally come through in some of the readings I've done. Because the message is like, do your best to insulate yourself from the outside world to a degree that's healthy, and like surround yourself with things you enjoy. You don't need to be putting yourself energetically in harm's way. If you are super sensitive, it's okay to take a step back or focus on yourself instead of forcing yourself to consume the news or things that feel detrimental to you. Honor your sensitivity, surround yourself with what fills you up. A lot of people have been getting this message recently to, the message would be for you to, in ways that are healthy and for your highest good, fill yourself up, or to do what you need to do to help yourself, or do self-care or things like that. Pretty important right now. If you're running on empty, like you need to fill yourself back up. Like it's just not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be helpful to the people around you for you to be running on empty, or the people you might have obligations regarding. Like you have to take care of yourself. And if that means not listening to the news every day, or if that means, what else would be highest much for me to say for you here? If that means not listening to friends who are negative, or only putting on podcasts that are positive and speak positivity, or getting away from people who are consistently negative or anything like that, like do it, is what I'd say. And that could be part of the higher reality that's birthing. Because sometimes, or a lot of the time, or all the time, like if you cut out that energy, if anything like that is there, or that negativity or that negative energy, something light can replace it. Something higher can replace it. So I also am getting a weird message. Like I wouldn't be looking at the destruction of the old as a bad thing, whether it's like old relationships, old things in your life. It's really almost like of course, opening space for the lighter and brighter and a better reality is what I'd say. And what's the best way to say this here? For some of you, maybe you lost something important, maybe even recently, that, to you was like very important, or you really wish you hadn't lost that thing. Sometimes that's, what's the best thing to say here? I feel like that will eventually be replaced with something higher and better that's better for you. Some people go through that as a lesson so that they'll change their ways. If they, if you lost like, I feel like I'm going down a explanation of this I don't need to. So let me say with it, I'm sorry for the delay, but let me say with it for just 1 second, just make sure I'm getting the right message for you here. What would be highest best for you to bring through for you here? Some people do something like they lose a relationship that's important, and maybe they made a mistake that did that. So they learn that lesson and don't lose a more important relationship down the road. Or, if you feel like you make a wrong choice or something like that, it's like, it's so when you get in a similar situation and perhaps a more important situation, you make the right choice, and don't mess up in the same way. So I just don't feel like that's what this is at the same time, which might be why they didn't want me to take too much time explaining it. I just feel like this time you're going to get replaced with something better, even if you felt like it was important to you, if that makes sense. So lastly, they showed me a whiteboard actually. Oh, what's going on here with this whiteboard? And they also wanted me to tell you this because it's fun, but they were showing me this like dragon, and he had like a graduation like cap and gown on, and he had this like like back in the day they would always depict teachers as having like a stick that they'd point to like a chalkboard with or something like that. Like he had one of those, and he was kind of tapping on my screen here to get me to the next message to go to here. But I feel like it's also a message for you, otherwise they probably wouldn't have had me mention it to you. So what's up with this dragon and the cap and gown here? So the message is actually that you are graduating from something, interestingly enough, like out of a phase or out of a job, like maybe you're getting a promotion or changing jobs, but it's like a graduation. For some of you, it could even be like a friendship or a relationship or something like that, or just maybe even a hobby, or it could just be very metaphorical, and it's just kind of a very energetic thing that you're going through in your life, if that makes sense. I mean, all of it would be energetic on some level, as above, so below, but that wasn't the right phrase to use in that. They didn't like that I said as above, so below. But, at the end of the day, like energy is at least a part of everything. So, of course. But all that being said here, I guess I'll just say congrats on your graduation if you feel like you're graduating levels. If you don't feel like that's you yet, I feel like you will on some level in the next month or two, which is cool. But the last message I have for you ahead of time, they said you're on the right road. So many of you are doing exactly what you need to be doing. Others of you, you're just on the right road and you don't even realize it. And it's almost like you're wishing you were somewhere else in your life, but I almost feel like you shouldn't be in some way. I feel like if you knew how everything would play out, you wouldn't wish that, is something I'm getting as well. And some of you just aren't seeing the bigger picture regarding that, where you think you're on the wrong road, but you're not, is what I'd say. So, and again, even if something seems like harrowing or scary right now, it's going to be okay. So I'm going to close the reading pretty soon here. Sometimes I get some last second messages as I go to close the reading, but I feel like this has been throughout this reading. They keep showing me like Jolly Rancher candies. Like they're showing me one that looks like green apple, or I think that's the one it just looks green, and it's very translucent. It's almost glowing. It's very see-through, but I don't know if that's a sign for any of you, but it was just showing up here. And they're also showing me sand and like sand dunes. So what's going on here? Anything else before we part ways? Those could just be signs for some of you. So I hope that was helpful and did whatever was for your highest good, and, resonated. Of course, if you liked that, you can of course check out my website for more, or I have a free newsletter with channel messages on the month ahead that goes out at the first of each month. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. And of course, I have a lot of things in the description you can check out if you're interested in more, but I don't want to get too much into all that right now. I'm wishing you well, and I will see you on another post.